I am so ready for this.
My sense of murder.
Huh? I turned it on.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I think it takes a second to learn.
Happy face.
Well, yeah, I mean, eventually it sends whatever
LOL, I saw the green and thought Ren typed it.
whatever dumb bullshit I do.
I need to put the green screen up to look around on that.
At some point, it doesn't have to be right now. Okay, yeah. I mean, might as well get it out.
Get it out so I don't forget.
Hi, guys. I just wanted to get it.
Turquoise.
I just wanted to get it turned on. Oh God. Oh, my mic. Oh, I'm so sorry, guys. I'm so sorry. I'm probably so loud. Oh. Oh. Okay. Let's kind of. Huh?
Was it clipping or something?
Oh yeah, I was getting pretty close. Sorry, guys. I haven't streamed in so long. My settings are so.
Just wanted to get turned on.
I just wanted to get turned on just a little bit. That's what I thought I'd join everyone. I hoped everyone would join me. Have a big old turn-on party.
OBBY.
OBB. I thought I'd turn the stream on while I'm getting some prep done, because not entirely prepared as of yet, and I keep talking, and that's slowing down my preparation. So I'm just gonna shut the hell up.
Hi guys. I can talk while he's not talking.
Yeah, you talk.
I can talk. I'm good at talking.
I'm about to talk for like 2 straight hours.
Hey,
I need you to.
Come here. Can you come lay in your bed?
Carry some of this weight.
Stop talking. I'm talking for you. Okay, come here. Come lay in your bed. I can't be right here right now. Hey, Duck. Hey, Ren.
Yes, the
The
recipient is me.
That's probably the first time Brass Fox has heard my voice. Hi, man.
Oh, the light is so bright.
No,
it's so bright. It's so
Did
very
you save
bright.
the settings when you turned on the exposure?
It's so very bright. I think so.
I don't think you did.
Okay.
Butters, this is not for you to lay on.
Why is it so bright?
Like the Chourette. The better to see your face with. Dank. Shirt.
Yeah, it is a pretty dank shirt. Assuming that's what's on. Yeah. Well, I kind of like took 2 messages and just slammed them together, so I'm happy with that. Oh God,
LOL.
that's drastic.
I
look like I'm fucking shadow monster on half of my face. Jesus.
Again. Yeah.
I'm so good at configuring video. Okay. So the overlay is gonna unfortunately have to be as bare bones as it is for the moment being, because that is a work in progress actively. But
Actively? You want me to do it right now?
no, that is okay. Inactively a work in progress. Sorry.
Cool.
Okay, here we go. This is the good stuff. This is the stuff that I need.
Hi, Val. I'm sorry. Val. It's so hard to do your name.
This is some ghetto production. I love it.
It's working.
Oh, it is.
It's filling in the other side of your face with light.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
LOL.
Kitty. Okay. Where's that save? Oh, I'm still not used to Firefox. Okay. Sundered Lands. Here we go. Pulling open the rules. Oh, let's do this.
I can make it even better by putting foil on it.
Okay, guys. This is the for realsies part. This is the part where we get down in it. We're deep diving, or shallowly diving. We're doing an amount of diving.
4 reals. Surprised face.
So you can hear yourself better.
What was that? No, I don't want to monitor.
No, do you want me to turn the sound down of the chat?
Oh, the sound down. That sounds fine.
Okay.
They can probably hear themselves.
I just want to make sure it's not harder for you to think about what you're doing when you're hearing the chat.
Oh, you know, that actually might be a thing.
We'll see.
We'll see. Yeah. So this is gonna be, this is all gonna, we are flying into unfamiliar skies right now. I got some water. Okay.
Hive test runs.
Okay,
Lots of
this is the Sundered
setups.
Lands. This is specifically the Sundered Lands, a Doomed Pilgrim. So let's go ahead and get working on this side stuff. Okay, so stuff is a placeholder. Hello. Don't mind if I do.
I figured you wanted a drink.
Don't mind if I do. Okay. So I'm just gonna go ahead and read this to you guys, just like straight off of the rules, just to give you kind of a primer and an understanding of what is going to be going on, and then we'll formalize it, and then we'll just jump right in. Okay. So this is actually a game that is built for like kind of forum role playing. Like the original poster will make like a post, and then everyone will kind of respond down. We're gonna do this slightly. We're gonna like hack it a little bit. Kudos to what's his name, Adam Coble. He's a pretty awesome Twitch streamer. Oh, I guess I shouldn't say that. Probably shouldn't advertise for Twitch streamers, but he's a pretty awesome streamer and YouTube content creator who does like lots of RPG stuff, and I got this idea from him. But basically, this is supposed to be for forums. You post it in the original post, and then people respond to you, and based upon what they respond, you kind of play the story out like that. We're going to be doing it real time.
Surprise.
We're going to be doing this real time. I'm going to be saying shit. I'm going to be kind of like GMing, and then you guys are going to be answering the questions that arise as a natural part of me trying to explore this space. I'm a warrior seeking peace and an end to bloodshed. I'm on a pilgrimage to the Temple of No Gods in the distant city of Goals. My pilgrimage has brought me to a place inhabited by an evil. The goal is to pass safely through and continue my pilgrimage. You, my online friends, play the world. Your goal is to see me to my doom, instead of safely on my way. You are allowed only to directly answer questions that I directly pose you, so you may not be able to actually do it. So the rules. The rules. 1, please don't do that, OBS. Like, just save being a shitty, unintuitive program for another time. Okay, first rule. Answer only questions. Answer only my questions. Sure. And this is also helping me kind of get the rules down. Second rule. If you don't already know the answer, make something up. So that's going to be most of it. You guys don't know the answer to anything. It's going to be mostly you guys just like throwing shit out at me and just making stuff up on the spot. So we'll go. Yeah, we don't actually have to put that down. Keep your answers short.
Improv.
Not necessarily short, brief. If your answer is disruptive, yeah. So if the question is like, I'm wandering through this like very foreboding forest and I hear a sound. What is it? And you say it's the sound of 3 men masturbating. Like, sorry, not gonna go with that. Like, next answer, please.
Oh darn.
Oh darn, yeah, I know. Sorry, I know everyone's gonna leave now.
Oh darn. It's the sound of silence.
The sound of silence. That's a completely appropriate answer. For the time being, I'm just going to be going with the first answer that I see. So our chats, we're not going to exactly see necessarily the same thing. I'm going to try my absolute best to respond chiefly to the first thing that I see that arises in chat after I have posed my question in its entirety. And depending on how that goes, if people are just like spamming or things are going too quickly or it's too muddied, we'll try like different schemes of me picking answers. Maybe people like, maybe everyone kind of posts an answer and then everyone decides from those answers and kind of like popular votes it. We'll see.
Muffled Rickroll music from the distance.
Everything's gonna be internet related.
God damn it. Okay. All right. It's a little nerve-wracking. Okay. So, like I just read, I'm a warrior seeking peace and an end to bloodshed. I'm on a pilgrimage to the temple of no gods in the distant city of Goals. My pilgrimage has brought me to a desert of spires, the gray hills, the jagged lands, the ragged forests, the Longmoor, the broken reaches, the jungle of bones. So these are some options, and you can kind of like fill in your own, but I'm going to stick to one of these just for
Jagged Lands Ice.
the jagged lands.
Jungle of Bones.
The jungle of bones is a really cool one.
Forest Panda Dirt.
Okay, I'm going to go with Ren. Just following rule 4.
Forest.
I'm gonna go with what Ren said because she was the first to answer. So what was that? The Jagged Lands. Okay, the Jagged Lands. So I am passing through I'm passing through the Jagged Lands. It is inhabited by an enemy. The enemy could be predatory bandit ghouls, the sworn enemies of my people, the murder cult of an ungod of spiders, supernatural creatures hungry for human flesh, the encamped army of a king who has sworn vengeance upon me, the singing hyenas of the waste, warring cannibal clans, followers of a grim torturer devil, monsters who dress in human skin. Now I will accept answers.
Murder cult. Cult.
God, you guys,
Everybody.
ridiculous.
Cult.
Oh man.
Cult. LOL.
Okay, well, it looks like Colt wins.
Turq's worst nightmare.
Okay, the murder cult of an ungod of spiders. That is... Wow, that's a mouthful. Okay. Hopefully not a mouthful of ungod spiders. So now I'm going to pick 2 characteristics that are...
Just called it Spudgers.
2 characteristics of
Surprise.
who I am. I can choose 2 of these characteristics. Wealth hidden in my clothing, a long knife under my shirt, the summoning name of a ghost burned into my memory, very long hair, uncut and unbound, a crossing and crisscrossing of scars, vast and deadly patience, or instincts honed by a life of violence. Okay, what do you guys think? I think
long hair.
I'll defer to you guys on...
Instance and knife. Shoe boy long hair. Is that a long knife or are you just happy to see us?
I am most happy to see you.
Insist. LOL. Asterisk instinct.
Okay, I'm seeing a couple of instincts, a little bit of summoning ghosts, a little bit of long hair. I like long hair, but I feel like it kind of traps me in terms of in kind of improvising off of that. When I think of long hair, all I can think is that I'm like Samson or something, which I guess isn't necessarily the worst thing.
Or you could totally do the metal thing.
The metal. I'm doing it. Okay,
Yes.
cool. I've got very long hair, uncut and unbound, and
Fluffy hair. Happy face.
the summoning name of a ghost burned into my memory. I have very long hair, uncut and unbound, and the summoning name of a ghost burned into my memory. Okay. All right, here we go, guys. Okay. I'm going through the Jagged Lands that are occupied by a murder cult of ungod of spiders, and I have long hair, unbound and uncut, and the summoning ghost. Okay, all right. The Jagged Lands. The Jagged Lands. What do these Jagged Lands look like? Okay, so I'm imagining kind of like this space that kind of looms off in the distance. I've been traveling for some time. I really like the idea of like me being like a rocker, like a metalhead. But like a metalhead that has lived a life of violence.
I got curious, so I came here to see this.
Hi, Miss Bunny. Welcome.
Oh, it's on YouTube too, Miss Bunny. If streaming's not working.
Surprised face, MS Bunny.
Yeah, it is really
My
distracting
MS
having the
Bunny
chat going on
flash.
like that.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Turn it down.
Thank you. Okay. All right. The majority of my journey, as I have been trying to travel to the city of Goals on my way to the Temple of No Gods, so that I may seek some kind of refuge from my life of violence. I've passed through a mostly peaceful journey on my way, but up ahead I see the foreboding jagged lands, lands pockmarked by enormous spires of jagged rock that stretch up as far as the eye can see. The horizon entirely occluded by these enormous features that seem to reach up like fingers into the sky. And as I approach, I'm filled with a sense of dread about the dangers that I know lurk ahead. I see up and into the distance, atop one of these spires in these jagged lands. What is it that I see? Anybody can answer. A dark tower. Okay. I see an enormous tower looming up, jutting out from the side of this enormous jagged rocky structure, shooting out at diagonal angles. This huge tower, and hanging down from it is an enormous web, the size of which I have never seen before in my life. As I approach, I get a sense of how do I feel about this tower? What is the sense that I get from this tower? Does this tower contain friends? Will it contain enemies? Will I find any respite here? Anyone can answer. Dread. Okay. I know deep within myself that I need to do everything within my power to avoid the prying eyes that lie within this tower. This tower that was likely constructed to be able to see all that transpires in the jagged lands below. So I approach very cautiously through these lands, trying to kind of stick to the shadows and meld with the winding crevices and the jagged cuts into the ground that exist. This place being incredibly dangerous to be traveling through. The land itself is trying to kill me with like stones and rocks that are constantly jutting out of the scenery around me. I need to be very careful with my step. I need to be very careful with the way in which I tread through this land. As I am traveling through one of these winding crags, almost a scar cut through the land from above, I hear something up above me on some of these like spires that are up above. What is the sound that I hear? Anyone can answer. Okay, so I saw Valkyrie say pieces of stones from demonic broken statues, but I think that might have been an older answer. So I'm going to go with scream, because that's the next one I saw from Duck. So I hear a scream. I hear a shill scream. Something that seems completely unbefitting to the circumstances that I find myself in. It sounds like the scream of somebody who direly needs help. Perhaps another pilgrim that is passing through these lands, who has been less wary than myself and has come under the scrutiny of this dark tower, of this dark and looming tower. I know that I would never be able to forgive myself if I didn't help this person. So I look up above me and I see these jagged kind of footholds and handholds, and I start to climb up. As I'm climbing up, I manage to make my way up without suffering too much harm. I have kind of crisscrossing like cuts along my clothing and on my baggage as I'm carrying, like, I imagine a rucksack that is tied over my shoulder, and everything has these scored cut marks from these incredibly jagged and sharp stones that I'm dragging my body across as I'm ascending my way up out of this little canyon that I was inside of, approaching towards this scream that I'm hearing. As I pull my head up over the top and I see the kind of over the precipice, what is it that I see this scream coming from? Anyone can answer. My long flowing locks don't get caught. Absolutely not. I see a bird. Okay. I see a bird. I pull my head up over the edge and I see an enormous bird making its nest within a flower of rocks. These jagged stones coming off at different angles and essentially like making a flower, a beautiful and dangerous flower. And at the center of which is this huge nest made up of the broken and twisted trees and refuse of foliage found in these like inhospitable jagged lands. This enormous bird has upended and like uprooted these huge trees and broken them apart, ravaging them with its enormous talons, and then shredding them so that it can make its nest. And sitting within the nest is this bird. Was the scream coming from the bird? Anyone can answer. Okay, Memoir responded yes. This huge rust-covered bird closes its mouth and then turns its head towards me from its nest. And then it opens its mouth once again. And inside of its mouth, I see something that appears to be a human. It's not a human. It couldn't be a human, but it looks like a human. It is a mimicry of mankind. It opens its mouth and this other face inside distends out of the mouth and then opens its own mouth, and it looks like a human female, and it screams at me. It screams a horrible shriek, and I know that I have to escape. I have to get away from this terrible monstrosity. I turn and I try to run with great speed, but I hear a very heavy flapping of wings behind me as the bird seems to be taking off in pursuit. What happens next? Anyone can answer. Sorry. Okay. The gods have spoken. I'm running faster than my body has ever had to take me before. I have been in countless violent encounters with countless dangers throughout my life, but I'm not sure if I've ever seen anything quite so horrifying. These jagged lands will prove, in fact, these jagged lands may in fact prove to be my undoing. But if I'm going to have any say in the matter, that will not be the case. My legs are moving faster than I would even believe possible. And as I'm running, I'm not quite as carefully moving as I should be through these like stony outcroppings that pop up everywhere. Every couple of feet, there are just these enormous sharp outcroppings. And as I run foolhardily away from this bird, I'm constantly cutting my feet, not being careful with where I place my step. But it is flying behind me. I can hear its heavy wing flaps as it is hot on my tail. And I think to myself, the only way I'm going to be able to escape from this thing is to descend back down into a crag. I run over to the edge of the crag that I had just climbed out of, and I look down. Is there anywhere for me to jump down to safely? Anyone can answer. Memoir says no. There's nowhere for me to jump down to. And to try to slowly descend would almost surely be my end, as this bird flies up just right behind me. I turn to face it. It doesn't appear that I'm going to have any choice but to stand my ground and fight it. I think to the time spent along my companions in the adventures that I've been in, and the I don't want to call them adventures. They're not adventures. They were horrors. The horrors that I have lived through, and the companions that I had seen fallen, and the songs that I had written about them, the songs that I had written about their ghosts, and rising out from within my mind, I can feel my mouth chattering with the sound of one of their names. Completely unbidden by me, the sound of my dearest friend arises from my mouth. And as it does, his being, his shape, takes form before me as I speak the name of this ghost that is upon my tongue. What does he look like?
It's getting intense. You gotta do descriptions now.
Oh man. I didn't say anyone can answer, but I think we all get the kind of feel of this. Duck says it looks like Magnus. Arising out of my mouth as it just kind of unbidden opens, and my mouth utters the word Magnus. And as I do, this dark smoke pours out of my mouth and takes shape up above me, right before me, intersecting between the bird and myself. Long mutton chops streaming down the sides of his face, and an enormous axe in his left hand. He raises the axe up as the bird comes in to try and grab me with its enormous talons, and Magnus swings the axe through the entirety of the chest of the bird, leaving behind a shadowy scar, which causes the entire bird to start to disintegrate. The bird falls helplessly to the side. Is the bird going to die from its wounds? No. The bird will only be incapacitated by its wounds. Maybe corrupted even. Corrupted by the touch of death that it just suffered at the hands of my long-past friend. The ghost continues to stretch out of my body until it is entirely distant from me. And as it is, I can no longer recognize what I'm looking at. The memory of my friend having been bound to the name of his ghost, which was on my tongue. He turns to me and he waves goodbye, but I have no recognition of who this is, who has just saved me. And he floats off into the distance and dissipates. His ghost completely torn from my memory. But I know that in this situation, I have to go. I have to get away as soon as possible. Whoever this stranger was, his kindness has bought me some time. The bird is lying and writhing, screaming with that shrill screech that it was once before, with its mouth open and this human face distending outward from it. I turn to the cliff, knowing that I could not jump anywhere safely, but I start to slowly climb down, knowing that the bird does not, at this moment in time, have the ability to continue to follow. As I descend, once again, I'm crawling down and I'm just suffering all of these different cuts. No matter how careful I try to be, the stones are so jagged and so just punishing. And as I'm lowering myself, my hands are like bleeding profusely. I can feel large gashes across my legs as I'm like trying to very carefully lower myself down upon this face of rock. And I can feel the cuts cutting across my bag of supplies that I need to see me through to the city of gold. Does my bag fall away from my body? Anyone can answer. Okay, Valkyrie says no. No, the bag manages to hold on. It not because of the craftsmanship of the strap that is holding it to my shoulder, but I hear the very last few threads start to give way from one another as a deep cut in the strap takes hold, and it starts to tear away. But as it does, I reach down and I grab it at the very last moment as it is falling down, saving its precious contents that will surely see me through to the end of this journey. What are the precious contents that I just saved that were in my bag? Anyone can answer. Oh, God damn it, woman. I hate you all. I love you all. I love you all. The gods are kind. Steven the fish. I'm doing all of this for Steven. This is all for Steven. I know not why this is. It occurs to me the absolute bizarrity of the fact that I am making this travel to see a fish, just a solitary goldfish, through to a land of peace. I know not any longer why I do this thing. In truth, the reason that I'm doing this is because it was Magnus's dying wish. When Magnus fell in battle, he told me to take care of Steven. And take care of Steven, I pledged myself to do. So here he is in my bag, hanging within, inside, hanging down as I lift him up and I continue to lower myself down to the ground. I tie the strap back together where it had previously cut, and I continue to trod on through this jagged and winding scar in the earth. As I approach further to the spire that has the jutting tower looming over above, I see no other way. There is no way to go around it. All of these fingers, these claw marks that are dragged through the earth in these jagged lands, they all lead as a path to this underpass. There are two enormous spires that reach up out of the sky, and they all spill out right before it. And looming above both of them are this tower. I smell, and there's no way for me to circumvent it. There's no way for me to avoid this thing that fills me entirely with dread. I have no more emotion to cloud to push the dread out of my mind. It is subsuming. It is all that I can feel. Now that I'm closer to the tower, do I see anything on the tower? Anyone can answer. Okay, so I'm gonna do my first disregard and inappropriate answer because I think we've got enough Magnus and Fishbowl. I'm gonna go ahead and go without the wild flying dogs and go with Jules. Okay. Jules. I see hanging from this webbing that is descending down and hanging like a curtain off of the tower that is jutting out at a diagonal angle from the side of this spire that looms up ahead just above me. I have to crane my neck to be able to see it. And as I look up, hanging from this enormous curtain of webbing, I see it just interspersed with these beautiful jewels that capture my attention in a way that is hard to shake. I can't get the sight of these jewels off of my mind or my eyes off of them. I look at them and I feel myself drawn to them. This curtain stretches down from this tower that is looming 100 feet in the air, and this curtain of webbing kind of falls almost entirely to the ground, maybe only 10 feet off of the air. If I tried climbing this spire, I could grab one of these jewels. I have to grab one of these jewels. I can't help myself. I don't know why I'd want to help myself. These jewels are so beautiful. But something nags in the back of my mind. Don't do it. You can't do it. It's a trick. Am I able to shake myself of the need for these mystifying jewels? Anyone can answer. Well, okay. Okay, guys. I approach, not tentatively, I approach enthusiastically. There is a minor conflict in my mind before one side of me crushes the other. You fool. Of course you have to take the jewels. What else would you do? They'll give you riches. They will... What more do you need but these beautiful things that you've laid your eyes upon? I approach them, and I see that I have to try to ascend the spire. It's 10 feet in the air. I can't just reach them. I have to try and climb up the rocks to be able to reach out to grab onto this curtain of webbing. And I start to ascend. I start to climb up foolhardily. And as I do, I see something move further up the spire within the webbing. What is it that I see move? Anyone can answer.
That's specific.
Wow. Yeah.
I think she was waiting to copy paste that.
Probably. As I start to ascend, higher and higher, I see a jewel. But then I look further up and I see a larger jewel. And I have to ascend further to get to that one. And then I see a larger one. And I see a larger one. And these jewels, they permeate this web. There are these enormous blood diamonds that hang and are crisscrossed against this webbing, holding them in place. They're large egg shapes. And within them, I can see a reflection of myself. But on the reflection of my face that I see reflecting off the back end of these large ovoids, I see a spider. I see a spider on the reflection of my face within these. And then I see something move suddenly, and I look up, and I see an enormous spider, the god spider, made entirely out of blood diamond, trouncing around through its webbing that hangs from this enormous dark tower. It's watching me. It knows that it has a victim. It doesn't have to come meet me. It knows that I will come to it. Because as I look upon it, I'm filled with this same subsuming desire to take this jewel. But once again, that nagging suspicion arises in the back of my mind. Don't do it. Don't do it. You can't do this. This will surely be your end if you try to take this. If you go through with this, do not let this be your undoing. Am I able to shake some sense into myself? Anyone can answer. Yes. Yes. It wins. That part of me, that very small, nagging part of me, it wrestles the other, more base part of myself down. It grabs him and it throws him aside, and it says, "No, you cannot do this. We can do better than this. We can make it through these lands." My survival instinct kicks in, and I know that I have to get away. And I think the spider understands that as well. I think the spider understands that I will not be be climbing into its arms. I am 15 feet up this jagged spire when I look down and I think, I have to go. And I let go. I do. I have to get away at any cost. As I let go, this spider starts to, with ferocious speed, like a bolt of lightning, crawl down this curtain of webbing that hangs from the dark tower, trying to chase me down this thing. It's 100 feet in the air, but it manages to make that 100 feet in the time that I fall 15 feet. When I land, what injury befalls me for my foolhardy descent? Anyone can answer. A broken leg. What did I expect? Of course my leg is broken. Is what I would be thinking if I wasn't screaming in excruciating pain, as I can see a compound fracture. My bone is jutting from my leg down by my tibia. It's not going to serve me very well in my escape, but it'll have to do. I stand up with the strength of my one good leg, and then I place my weight on my less than good leg. It burns, it cracks, it hurts unlike anything else I've ever experienced, but I have to go, and I limp myself along. As I'm doing so, I can see more jagged cuts into the earth, like the ones that I had just crawled from. These jagged cuts through the earth that acted as like small valleys to be traveled through on the way to the spire. Another one is just on the other side of this overpass, and I can possibly make it in there, but the spider is hot on my tail. Does the spider catch me? Anyone can answer. The spider doesn't catch me. Wow, Valkyrie's real quick.
Yeah.
And Valkyrie is being a real proponent. I somehow manage. I somehow manage with the strength that I have cultivated over a hard life of violence and adversity, to push through this pain, this excruciating pain. Every single step that I take, I can feel my leg crying out at me to disembark from my body. And I manage to limp my way over. The spider descends down, and with terrifying grace and silence, it disappears. Maybe it wants to play with me. I have a hard time believing that anything so quick wouldn't have been able to catch me in the state that I'm in. Maybe it wishes to see me squirm. But for the moment being, I am out of harm's way. How much longer do I have how long do I have of respite before I have to press on? Anyone can answer. Okay. You guys aren't very merciful. Valkyrie is very merciful. Renegade, not so much. I sit down in a small scar in the earth, deep within this valley of jagged stones that reach out, begging for anything to impale upon themselves. And in this small little recessed scar in the earth, I tend to myself with what small rations and what small amenities I have. I bind my leg, I splint it. The entire process, I can feel that war within my mind again. No longer am I battling with this insane desire to, at any cost, find one of these rubies. Instead, I'm battling with a desire to give up. I'm battling with a desire to just lie down and die. Is this worth this? Is this worth it? Is the City of Golds really everything that I have ever heard it to be? And what is the purpose for me to get there? To bring a fish? A fish for what purpose? Nothing makes sense. what breaks, what is responsible for interrupting my respite? Anyone can answer. Okay, Riki says the fish breaks my respite. I have only but enough time to tend to my wounds and make my leg hardly usable before my bag begins to rattle and shake very powerfully. I open my bag, expecting to find the goldfish that I had seen there just mere hours before, but instead I see, what is it that I see that is inside my bag in place of the goldfish? Which, the goldfish, by the way, was in a completely encapsulated water bowl. What do I see instead? Anyone can answer. Okay, so I took a second to explain that. Looks like, oh god, I don't know. I took a second to explain that, so I wasn't looking at chat. Which, I'm gonna let you guys choose. Which of the options of a child, potion, or glowing light do you guys want me to go with? Okay, I see. I pull back. I pull back the cover to my rucksack, and I look within. And where there once was a clear glass bowl with a fish within, I just see a beam of light shooting out and illuminating this small little cave that I find myself taking a rest in. And it beams into my face, and the light is blinding. What color is the light, and what feeling am I filled with when I see this light? Anyone can answer. Okay, the light is purple. A purple like I have only seen on the most beautiful and vibrant of royal fabrics. This light is entirely unnatural. It is entirely unnatural, but it fills me with a sense of comfort and warmth. I feel at home staring into its light. A part of me wonders if this is another trick, similar to the ones experienced when I was looking at these blood diamonds. But I push that thought out of my mind. No, this is different. This is different. I feel at home. I feel safe. I feel filled with determination. I feel like I can make it. The City of Goals enters my mind once again, and I think that I can press on. I close the top of my bag, I sling it back around me, and I inch my way out of this small cave, and I start pressing on. As I'm pressing on, I can hear intermittently a faint skittering from the spaces up above me. This space that is just I cannot see further than 20 feet above me because of these crisscrossing spires that stab into one another. There is so much space that anything could be occupying up there, and it causes my mind to start wandering. What could it be? Could it be the spider? Is the spider pursuing me once again? And will this light in my bag, will whatever is happening there see me through to the end? As I am traveling through, very cautiously, pulling myself across the edges of this thing, across the edges of this little crag, this little valley that is cut into the earth, trying to cautiously be on the lookout for anything that could come to take what remains of my almost complete journey away from me and steal all of my efforts, all of my pain, and all of my forgotten sorrows. I'm pulling myself across them, but suddenly, as I'm dragging my back against them, I feel my pack torn from my body. And then I feel something reach around my shoulder and then around my waist, and it pulls me back. When I look at my shoulder, what is it that I see that is upon me? What has grabbed me? Anyone can answer. Okay, Miss Bunny was the first to respond. The bird grabs me. But the bird's hand or talon isn't material. No, I think I'm going to go with that. The bird's hand isn't material. It is wispy and it is smoky. It gives off the stench of death in spite of its ethereal constitution. It drags me back and I can see the world falling away before me. I can see the place that I was just standing stretching off into the distance as I'm pulled through darkness. I awake in an abyss, and I look around, and standing before me is the bird that just pulled me. Within the gash that is left behind from the shadowy cut in its body, reaching out are two black, wispy, effervescing arms of shadow and darkness, with its mouth open and this human head stretching back out, but now coming out, falling out of its mouth with long black hair falling down and stretching out and kind of floating in the air. There is some kind of shadowy death creature within this bird. And perhaps the bird did die, but whatever is within it did not. And it has taken me to its realm. Will I be able to fight this? Anyone can answer. You're right. I won't be able to fight this. Not in my current form. Not in my current shape. My leg is hardly a leg. I can hardly see my foe before me. It's questionable whether or not it's even material. But then again, neither am I. I take my hair that stretches down my back and I pull it before me as it was previously tucked down my shirt, stretching down into my tunic. And I pull it out and I start to pull it out and it keeps coming and it keeps coming. And I keep drawing out this length of unbound hair. And I wrap it around my arm. And as I wrap it around my arm, it comes to life. Suddenly, my hair, as it stretches down and crisscrosses across my arm and the heft of my left torso, it comes to life with great strength and ferocity. And this hair comes together as this enormous tentacle with small, wispy, hairy tendrils coming off of it. Very similar to the shadow monster that stands before me. I charge at it, knowing that this may be my last stand, but I have to give this everything that I can. I try to fight it with the same forces that it will fight me with. I try to dig my fist into the center of its face, into the center of this shadow beast's face. This is when dice come out.
Oh, it's initiation time.
Okay.
Boss battle?
I roll 2d6, and we figure out how effectively I combat this thing. That's a 5 and a 2. That's 7. I should probably use a dice roller on mine. Okay, a 7. I might be able to fight free. I charge forth into the immediate space that is surrounding this shadow beast that occupies the corpse of this bird. Its hair stretching off of its long neck, stretching off of a head that is attached to a long careening neck, and this hair stretches out around, making something of a bowl, something of a field around it that it tries to protect its personal space with. I charge forth, and the hair starts to reach out at me, but as it does, I press through it, and with my shadow-infused arm, I dig my hand into its face, and I grab it, and I try to retch my fingers into its vacuous voids of eye sockets, and I try to press it away. I try to press it back. I drive it forth with the great strength that my hair lends me, until I get close enough to reach for the bag. The bag. I have to get the bag. The bag that is occupying its hand. It's one of its shadowy hands. I drive its head back, but whether or not I'm able to make it could entirely depend upon whether or not I leave the bag behind. And that's not even to say that if I get the bag, I will survive. Do I reach the bag? Do I reach for the bag? Or do I take the opportunity to try and kill the beast? What do I do? Anyone can answer. Hi, Butters. I'm role-playing. Goodbye. Okay. Miss Bunny said, leave the bag. What will the bag be without me? I will surely fall to this beast, and if not to this, with my powers exhausted, I will have nothing left to combat the spider. This may be my final stand. But if I will do anything, I will ensure that this beast will cause no harm to anyone in the future. I drive the beast backwards with my hand placed inside of its face like the finger holds of a bowling ball, retching its face back and forth, and I pull its neck taut. I wrap my other arm around it, and I try to tear its head off.
I can verify. Is it?
It's a 9.
It's a 9.
It's a 9. I overpower it. It's incapable of resisting the force that I have been able to tame over a lifetime. This beast seems to have this same shadowy affliction that I do. But it hasn't been tempered. It hasn't been refined. It hasn't been honed like I have. The head retches off of this long and tentacled neck. I tear it off, and as I do, I hear that screech once again, but it fades, and it fades very quickly as the smoke just dissipates from my arm and from my hand. And as it does, I'm sucked forth back out of this abyss that I was just dragged into by this beast, and I'm cast onto the ground, with my hair falling onto the ground before me as I lay on the ground, drained of all of my energy. I reach up and I try to run my hand through my once beautiful long hair, and all I feel is hair coming out in clumps in my hand. I am bald. Or I am very soon. And it has taken a lot of strength from me as well. I can't see them, but I can feel the deep etches that have been carved into my face by the effort. I have aged. I was a man of 30. I feel now like a man of 80. I drag my body with what little strength that remains to me forward. And I see something beautiful. What is it that I see? Anyone can answer. Oh God, guys. I see something beautiful. I see the fish. I see the fish held. I see the fish within its spherical fishbowl, held within the embrace of Magnus. I see the specter of Magnus holding his fishbowl, holding his friend. It is a beautiful sight to see these two reunited. I cannot recall why this is beautiful, but it strikes me with a very powerful and visceral emotion that this is something that I have always wanted. I have always wanted to see these things reunited. But the beauty is cut short by something. What is the beauty cut short by? Anyone can answer. Okay, Riki answered zombie. Magnus descends to the ground with fishbowl in hand, and his ethereal constitution fades as something more material steps from within, holding the physical bowl that must have been rescued from the abyss. But rescued it did not remain. Where once there was a jovial smile across Magnus's sideburn-laden face, there is now a horrible grimace. And the material Magnus that emerges from this husk of shadow casts Stephen to the ground, shattering his bowl upon the hard, jagged earth. I see from the sides of me step forth the cultists of the spider god. Magnus approaches a zombie of his former self. The cultists, or the spider, this spider god, must have captured his spirit and reanimated it. I stand now before the specter, the reanimated specter of my long-lost friend. I cannot remember his face well. I cannot remember the memories that we shared, but I know that this is not something that I should be doing. I know that this is not what I was meant to do. I know that this is not why I came here. Behind Magnus, I can see stretching off into the distance a road that I know will lead me to the City of Goals. But I know not if I'll be able to make it to that road, because standing before me is an obstacle that I may not be able to overcome. Can I overcome it? Can I try to overcome it, chat? Anyone can answer.
Everybody wants you to be the hero. They don't want to send you to your doom.
Oh, they say I can try to overcome it. Oh. Magnus steps forth, shambling, dragging behind it a leg that is as destroyed as my own, holding in his hands a twisted and grotesque axe. Every single limb of his body being interspliced and connected by webs. His body seemingly having been thrown together out of the discarded body parts of other things captured by this ungod of spiders and assembled by these cultists that stand and they watch. They watch to see if I'm worthy. They watch to see if I can stand against the mighty creation of their god. The zombie trods forth on broken legs, broken like my own. This monstrosity that was once my forgotten friend that stands before me walks with one foot in the grave, but so do I. I have nothing left. All of my belongings have been stripped from me. I see on the ground, beside where Magnus appeared from thin air, writhing on the ground among a heaping shattered glass fishbowl, a small little fish struggling for any purchase upon life. What will save me? If I have a chance to fight against this thing, what is it that I have a chance with? What is my greatest asset? Anyone can answer. Okay. With what remaining energy that Stephen has, writhing on the ground, he begins to glow that same beautiful royal purple that I had seen just previously. He glows and bursts forth with an enormous shower of light that just blinds. When the light dissipates, what is different about this situation? Anyone can answer. Oh man, this is gonna get cool. Oh, this is gonna get real fucking cool, guys. I find myself on the ground, supporting myself only by knees and elbows, as slowly the purple fades from my eyes, and the ordinary colors of the world, however drab and depressing they may be here in these jagged lands, they start to return to me. As I start to regain my sense, I look over to my right in the direction that the light had emitted from, and I see a large globe of water, huge globe of water, enormous globe of water, 60 feet in its radius, floating just above the ground. This water, this fluid, whatever it is purple and it is beautiful. And swimming within is an enormous and intricately scaled god, a god fish. It writhes around doing laps within this small globe of purple fluid that is currently hoisting it in the air. The Magnus turns to it, and the fish reaches out with a blade of purple fluid, and Magnus is severed in half. What remains of Magnus? What mockery of Magnus that stood before me has been defeated? This godfish wishes to see me through, but in order for it to see me through, it'll have to get through the god spider, which I look up behind me and I see looming upon these jagged spires that spill out into the open field that I see before me. There is now an enormous sphere of purple fluid within which there is a godfish. I stand before it, and behind me there is an enormous blood diamond spider god. What happens next? Anyone can answer.
Oh, that's really wide open. What happens next?
An epic fight. Okay. I'm going to do a roll for this because this godfish is fighting on my behalf.
I get to verify rolls again. Ooh, we dropped.
Oh, that was a 6. I wish that stayed on the table.
Oh no! Roll a 6 again.
It's a 9.
That is a
It's a 9.
9 confirmed.
The spider leaps onto this huge pool, this huge suspended pool of purple fluid that the fish finds itself within, and it lands on, but the surface tension won't break. This fluid is so strong, it is so bound, that the spider tries to drive one of its numerous heaving and gaunt huge limbs into, but it bounces right off, deflected by the force of this churning water of this huge pool. And just as it does, the fish throws its body at the spider that is now on this sphere of water. And as it does, it launches the spider back. The spider lands and is impaled upon the jagged stones that it just leapt from. It loses a limb. And it falls to the ground with the shattering of its blood diamond body crashing against the ground, one limb separated from its being. Who makes the next strike? Anyone can answer. The spider. The spider. The fish, with great calculated patience, remains where it was, staring the spider down. But this could be Stephen's undoing. As the fish locks eyes with the seemingly infinite eyes that adorn the spider's body, the eyes look back, and they reach deep within this fish god, and they draw him forth. Stephen starts to he begins to emerge from his purple watery sphere. No, he can't do that. What is he doing? He won't have any protection. He will be a fish out of water if he does this. He has to stop. But he continues, and he continues to press forth and to swim himself, to wriggle himself out of this bowl of water. I'm going to go ahead and roll again.
Oh.
We're going to roll. The spider is trying to draw Stephen forth. Is Stephen able to resist?
That's a 6.
It's a 6. Stephen is drawn forth. He's incapable of resisting well enough. He falls forth from his watery globe, his purple globe of royal, beautiful purple, and as he crashes on the ground, realizes his mistake, realizes that this could be his undoing, and as he does, his water spills onto the ground and spreads out, seeping through and between all manner of jagged stone that adorn the ground. And he starts to shake uncontrollably. He has no purchase now. He has nowhere that he can fight now that he has been drawn out by the spider. But he will try to see me to safety. He will try to fight. He will try to ensure that I will make it. I start to hobble my way away, knowing that Stephen will continue to try and protect me from this spider. What does Stephen do to try and protect me from this spider? Anyone can answer. Okay, Valkyrie says he explodes. Okay. Stephen, upon what little purchase he can get upon the on the ground, writhes himself up and launches himself, propels himself towards the spider. And his mouth dislodges, revealing a jaw that is all-consuming. Stephen encloses the spider in this mouth, taking within it this terrible feasting creature. This creature that has always drained the life from others by feasting upon them is now being fed upon by Stephen. But you can't eat a god. Despite what Dark Souls may tell you, you cannot eat a god. Stephen starts to be torn apart from within as the spider thrashes out, flinging limbs to and fro. Legs start to pierce out of Stephen's body as he tries to compress and destroy and crush this spider within its mouth, within its being. But the spider is breaking free. And as it does, Stephen is torn apart and explodes. He's thrown into many different directions. Pieces of him falling to the ground, being cast aside. But as he does, his body starts to bubble and it starts to burn the spider that is beneath. The spider starts to writhe in pain with the affliction of a curse of killing a god. Even a god cannot kill a god without consequences. And I think Stephen knew this. That's why Stephen did what he did. As I'm hobbling off, I trip. The force of this eruption behind me startles me, and it causes me to misjudge one of my very frail footsteps, and I fall to the ground. When I turn back to see what has just happened, what is it that I see? Anyone can answer. Okay? The gods are not kind. I look back and I see not in any way sensibly melded with the landscape, death riding forth upon an enormous spectral undead steed. He's not riding forth through the land, he's riding forth from beyond the land. An enormous hole in reality opens, which allows death to breach through. And as death steps forth upon this scene of this ungod spider writhing and burning and melting beneath the curse of the dead god Stephen, Death knows that his work is cut out for him. He has to gather the souls of two gods. But as I look upon Death, I feel him. And he feels me. He sees me, and he sees that I am upon his door. And he outstretches a single finger to me, and he motions me, beckoningly, knowing that I don't have very much time. Let's cut to the chase. Why should I bother trying to whisk myself away for some insignificant semblance of what remains of my mortal life? He waves me upon, and I want to go. This has taken everything from me. I don't think that there is any life left for me to live. But maybe there is. Who knows? Do I go with Death? Or do I try to drag myself to the City of Ghouls? Anyone can answer. Okay. The first that I saw when I looked over was Go to Death from Renegade. I start to drag myself towards death, thinking to myself, I have nothing left to live for. I have no more life left in me with which to spend here. There's no reason for me to remain here. Perhaps I will go with Stephen. And perhaps I'll go with Magnus. And perhaps I will go with the spider and whatever this shadowy creature that tried to consume me was. I will go with the remainder of all things that have ever lived, but no longer. Because I know I will end up there at one point or another. Death in his mercy descends down from his steed and trods over towards me. He reaches down a merciful hand to help me to my feet, and as I reach up and meet his hand, my hand disappears. It fades. I can see myself vanishing from the hand to the wrist to the forearm to the arm. I can see myself falling away from this world as death is whisking me away. And he leans in with his cowl hanging over my shoulder, only a black void existing within the hood that masks whatever the face of death is. And he says, this is a mercy. You'll never have to know what it is to live through an infinity like myself. And as he says that, my head disappears with the rest of my body, and I cease. Death goes over and collects the bodies and the souls of the gods. What is it that I experience in death? Anyone can answer. Oh, you're such a bitch, Duck. Man.
That's the first time she said something bad, isn't it? Normally it's Ren.
I spend the remainder.
Oh, that feels bad now.
Oh no! I mean that's a great answer. I like it. This new existence that I know, that is not so much an existence as much as a lack of an existence. It feels insubstantial and it feels empty. It feels deprived of any of the pleasures or the pains of living. I no longer expect, I no longer experience, I no longer hope for or fear from. I just simply exist in a state of neutrality, in a state of emptiness for the remainder of eternity. All right. How was that?
The end. You didn't say the end.
The end. Finn. You doomed me. You guys like that? It's a really cool game.
It's okay, Duck. We can tweet this at them now.
yeah. I need to quit and resave. I'm really bad at those quit saves in Dark Souls.
Oh.
What was that?
No more skip.
Yeah.
Shia LaBeouf.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a really cool game. I I had no idea that any kind of RPGs existed for this kind of a medium where you exchange with an audience and they inform your simultaneous playing of the game as well as your GMing of the game. It's really uniquely cool. And yeah, that was an hour and a half. I was just talking for an hour and a half straight.
Were.
Holy shit! Yeah, that's GMing. That's talking for an hour and a half. That's about right.
I was being productive too.
Huh?
I was being productive.
Nice.
Yeah.
Did some sculpting.
Yeah.
Cool. So, yeah. How did you guys feel about the system of kind of first in, first out? Like whoever speaks up first gets their inspiration attended to. How did you guys like that?
I'm not sure if it was because of the lag or what, but I feel like there were a lot of people that ended up being at the end of the list all the time. It may just be their internet link.
Yeah. I was noticing a lot. I felt really bad that space was pretty consistently kind of coming in.
But it was later.
Yeah. It was.
Same
Yeah.
for Brass.
Yeah.
Brass said a couple things, and
I caught one or two from Brass. That was good.
Oh, you did? Okay.
Yeah. I'm sorry, Space. Yes, I'm thinking. So that'll slow down play a little bit. It'll slow down play to have majority wins because then I have to be like, okay, here are the options, guys. Everyone vote for one. So I'm thinking we can try this again. Yeah, I'm thinking we can try this again after everyone has kind of submitted their answers. I can have maybe Leah, or we can get a small panel of people that look over the list and be like, that's a really good one. I like that. You should go with that.
I was thinking more random. I was thinking maybe I'll just do a random number generator and take that position and how many people said it.
You could do that. Yeah, it's a cool game. The intention of this was to get you guys hyped up about what we're going to actually be doing. And what we're actually going to be doing is going to be doing a kind of sword and sorcery, high fantasy conquest campaign, essentially, where we're exploring new lands, we're conquering new worlds, and we are adventuring through the adversity of foreign and unknown places. I'm still working out the details of the system and trying to get everything arranged. But I hope that this was a good little window into my GMing and the kinds of things that I don't know. I don't know if that was necessarily a display of ability, but it was I don't know. That was my job interview to everyone in stream, and hopefully I passed. Hopefully you guys thought that was good enough that you would want me to GM for you and that you would place your faith in me and your trust that I would be able to run this for everyone. So I'm not using. So this might be a sticking point for some people, and I want people to just, like I said, I want you guys to know and have faith with me. I'm not using D&D. I'm not using Pathfinder. I'm not using any D20 rules. This is going to be a synthesis. You've probably never heard of the Sundered Lands. I am by no means the most explorative person that I know into the world of RPGs. But this is a love of mine. This is a hobby of mine. To find out what these different RPGs do, and based upon what I have seen and what experiences I have had, I am now cobbling together my own RPG that will play similarly to D&D without actually being D&D. So it'll be more accessible. You guys will be able. I'll be able to explain it to a complete noob, and hopefully they'll be able to just pick it up. And it'll be accessible enough that hopefully people will be able to just come and go as they please. That you guys will be able to play one session and just try it out, and then if you never want to play again, you can never play again. Or you can just sit in chat and you can participate like this, influencing and inspiring the game through the whatever rules that I end up putting into it. And if at some point you want to be like, you know what, this is really fucking cool. I really like that stream is doing this. I want to like try my hand at this. That you'll just be able to jump into it at some later point. I want it to be very pick up and play. I want it to be kind of like player two, press start player two, like jump in. Like you can just kind of jump in, and every week we'll have, yeah, it'll be very choose your own adventure. People will be able to jump in and leave. Exactly, yeah, yeah. So I don't want to put too much definition to what exactly I've got written down at the moment, but it'll kind of be, you guys are a society, and that society has always known conquests. And that society has always been confined to this small land. But suddenly lands, distant lands, foreign lands, strange lands begin to wander forth, and you start to see them. Maybe you're upon a vast ocean that spreads out infinitely in every direction. Maybe your land is a mountain that you can never descend down because when you look down there is just mists as far as the eye can see. But you start to see these other lands migrating, like almost like tectonically, like kind of like approaching, and they collide, and then you suddenly, there's this new land. You know nothing of it. It is like nothing you've ever seen, and you explore it and you go out into it and you try to conquer it and you try to take it, or maybe you try to befriend it, maybe you try to understand it and try to learn and understand its inhabitants. And when you do so, you're not doing it just as you. It's not just you as one person. It's the stream. Everyone in the stream is doing this. Everyone is part of this society, and everyone can have characters. And when you're going out and you're exploring, it's not just you as exploring. You have support characters. So there will be people who can participate just in chat. There will be people who can participate as like the main characters. They're the main characters of the scene, right? Like you have your starring roles, and every session we can have different starring roles. I'm really excited if you guys can tell. Yeah, I'm a little bit pumped for this. As far as I know, I don't know of anything else that's like this. I don't know of any other system that tries to do this, and I don't know of anyone who has made their own kind of like hacked system like I am trying to do this. I'm not aware of any come and go play stream RPG. Like there are people who stream where there's like a consistent group of people, and then there's a GM, and the GMs for the group of people, and then people just come in and chat and they watch and they chat amongst themselves. Maybe sometimes, occasionally these streams, the chat will actually be able to input things. Maybe they'll occasionally be able to influence things, but I want you guys to be the game. I want all of you to be the game. I want even the people who are too shy to actually get on a microphone, I want you guys to also be part of the game. I want everyone to be part of this community that is like living through this like high fantasy adventure of like exploring new lands. I want all of you to be participants. With that said, I will need some people who want to play on mic, though. I will need that. And I understand that there's going to be some trepidation at first. Not everyone's going to be like gunning to have their first RPG experience. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I mean, there are so many different things that can like preclude your ability to play this. And I understand that. And I'm going to try. Yeah, you don't need character voices. No, you can just talk like yourself. I talk like myself a lot of the time when I'm playing RPGs and stuff. But yeah, like I'm gonna try and like move the schedule around. Once we kind of get an idea, I'm probably gonna start out at 1 day a week, and then if that feels full, if that feels like there are more people wanting to play than we can play, then I'll move it to like 2 times a week or something like that. If you want to play and you don't have a mic, try to get your hands on a mic. Like I would love to have more players, more people, because we will need. I mean, that is something we will need. We will need main characters. Almost, I mean, almost no matter what we do, we will need main characters unless we want to try something that's more like this. I like this, but I don't think that this is going to be able to hold this over for like a story. I don't think this is something that will be able to be long form. So, yeah. I mean, like, stay tuned, guys. Like, I'm pouring my heart and soul into this. I really want this to work. I want this to be a thing that like we can do. I'm talking to friends that I have played RPGs. Yeah, exactly. Like, yeah, I get on, I let everyone know, hey, I'm going to be doing an RPG stream. Everyone gets on, and we play a game. Maybe it'll only be like 2 hours that we play. Like, that would be a pretty short session. And everyone in chat participates. Everyone who's playing plays their character, experiences the story, explores some distant reach of a land. And then we're like, fuck yeah, we just like, we did that. And then that is progress that the entire stream has made collectively as a community. So yeah, stay posted. Like try to keep that hype up, and I will try to help you guys keep the hype up. Occasionally, I'll be doing these Sundered Lands. Hopefully, it won't be too much longer before I have all the rules and I have like an idea of exactly how this is going to play out. But I'm trying to get some friends that I know are good at role playing, and like we'll be able to like I'll be able to pull from those people. If you guys don't know exactly, if this is so uncomfortable that you don't know how to like leap into this, um, if you guys don't know how to leap into this, I'll try and like I'll show you guys how to do this. I'll show you. All right, but yeah, my voice is starting to get a little tired from this basically nonstop talking, and I have to DM another game tomorrow, which those usually run 4 maybe 5 hours. So I think I'm probably gonna call it here. Hopefully that this hype train is going full steam ahead. Um, and thanks for joining me, guys. Thanks for participating. I mean, I couldn't have done this without you. Literally, like this, I would just be talking to myself, and that's just weird. You don't stream that. Don't do that. Bye, guys.